Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is Before the Box Score, and it's Green Week. It's game week. Missouri is playing football this week. Missouri is playing football 2 nights from the night that we are recording. Hopefully you are hearing this on a Wednesday. Nathan Hurst, we made it. How are you feeling?
The long national nightmare has ended. The beginning of football season is nigh. The air is cool and crisp. Someone in my office was burning a fall scented candle today. So that's, that just gets the motor running. We're ready to go. We're ready to go.
Pumpkin?
It was it was not pumpkin. But it was just, I'm sure it was just called like fall harvest or something, something vague, but you know exactly what it smells like just by, ooh, that's a fall smell. So it's time. Yeah. Time is here. Here is now.
Yeah.
Football is upon us.
And the weather's cooperating. I think that's the best part. It's been 75.
It's going to be gorgeous on Thursday. It's going to be gorgeous on Thursday.
It's been great. It's been great. I can't believe it. So yeah, very good. Lots of fun things happening. We're getting back into the swing of fall. Missouri's going to be playing football. They can't stop us. The one team who's going to try and stop us is not very good this week, so we'll have fun talking about that. But we've got some changes coming up as far as the future of football goes, specifically regarding scheduling. We've got a depth chart that we're going to pour over real quick. We'll go over the ones and discuss the impact or the lack of surprise on some of these positions. And then we're going to break down the Bears of Central Arkansas, from the sketchiest area of Arkansas and Conway. So let's start with kind of the big news. Certainly for most, all of the SEC, frankly. I mean, I haven't read a fan base that wasn't surprised or, talking about it. But yeah, Greg Sankey, he decided that starting next year, 2026 season, the SEC will be playing 9 conference games. Now, why is this happening? Well, there's a couple of reasons why it could happen. Number one, the Big Ten always pounds its chest about the fact that it plays 9 conference games. Very proud about that fact. Everybody's quick to point out that includes Purdue, included Indiana, although I guess Indiana was good last year. Rutgers, Maryland, Minnesota, if it wants to be feisty or not. Iowa, if it ever wants to field an offense. Point is that there's a lot of flawed teams in the Big Ten. And so it's very easy for the SEC to pick on them for taking pride in 9 games and playing Purdue instead of, East Carolina or pick your FCS team of choice here. But here's the other thing. The SEC and the Big Ten are the power players in football right now. The Big Ten wants to play off a certain way, and the SEC wants it a different way. And they've kind of dug in their heels and said, we're not changing unless you change first. So I think a lot of this was motivated not by that, on top of the fact that the playoff committee came out and said that they're going to value strength of schedule over most other qualities of a team going forward. So I know that was a lot of information. That's the quickest summary I can bring up. Hurst, how are you feeling about this?
I mean, I feel great about it. I know we've had conversations in the past about how it may or may not be the best thing for Mizzou, having to add that one more difficult game on the docket. But as a fan of college football, as a fan of SEC football, bring it on. I would so much rather watch Mizzou play one more SEC game, even if that means they're playing Tennessee instead of Louisiana or whoever, or an FCS team like Central Arkansas. That game probably is not going to go away, but the G5, that extra G5 game will go away. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I would much rather watch Mizzou play Tennessee or South Carolina or Kentucky or LSU or whoever. That's just way more fun as a fan. And watching other SEC teams play other SEC teams Saturday in and Saturday out. So as a fan, I love it. And otherwise, it's going to be tougher, but it's going to be tougher for everybody. Schedules are hard. If you're in the SEC, your schedule is going to be hard. And, the playoff, it's 14 teams now. It's going to be 16 teams before we know it. They're going to take into account that you're going to drop a game or two here or there. So you don't have to go run the table anymore to make it to win a national championship or to at least have a seat at the table. So you can go 10-2, and that's going to be a little bit harder, but it's not going to be impossible with this many with 9 conference games. So I love it. Bring it on. Let's do it. Love it.
Yeah, as someone who likes to watch Missouri win football games, not great to play more SEC games. But yeah, I think it's good. It's good. You're going to have years where you have favorable schedules. You're going to have years where you don't. That's going to be harder for anybody in the SEC. So that's not going to set Missouri apart in any sort of way or give them advantage or a particular disadvantage. That's for everybody. So yeah, I'm good with that. Now, if you think that this is going to eliminate FCS games, I'm with you. Number one, no, it's not, because you need a little bit more guaranteed win out in your non-con. And number two, this goes back to the health of the sport. And I'm going to stand by this point till the day I die. You need big programs, blue blood programs, to play FCS teams. You need it. You need it for the college football ecosystem. You need as many outlets as possible to provide opportunities for young men and potentially women in the future who want to play this sport. You start taking that away and you limit the ability for people to play this sport, and therefore you limit its popularity. And there's no rule that says football has to be popular forever. I always point back to the United States, boxing, baseball. Ask them how they're doing now. Once the beloved sports of the American pastime. Okay, so you need that. You need that money to go down, funnel down, to provide those programs, to provide those opportunities. It's part of it. So no, this is not going to take the FCS game away. I am with you. I think it takes the G5 game away because strength of schedule, especially in the SEC. You can have a couple losses and still be in contention. Absolutely. So, yeah, I think it's good overall. I've got a wish list of teams that I like to see Missouri play. Think of some games that you haven't really seen. A lot of West Coast teams. I mean, Missouri had that jaunt out to Arizona State in 2010, 2011. That was very cool. You don't get to see those teams play all that often. Just bigger programs from all over. I just want to see more of that. Get some more regional clashes in here rather than just the same stuff that we're used to. But then that also brings up Kansas, Illinois. If you want to play Iowa again, like you could do that. Get Nebraska back in the fold, sure, why not? Like it gives you an opportunity to open up some old rivalries and expand the palette and go see some other places. So I think it's good overall. But they also talked about the fact that each team is going to have 3 permanent rivals, I think is the term that we're going to use. And we have talked about this before. The blog father Bill C talks about pods. Everybody's talked about a version of this. I know BK and I talked about it for many years. If you ask me, I think my opponents that I'd want to see: Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, South Carolina. I don't think we're going to get that. But in your mind, what would be your ideal 3 teams that Missouri has to play every single year?
I would say I would actually kick Oklahoma out. I just don't like them. I don't like associating with them. They're gross. I'd much rather play Arkansas year in and year out than Oklahoma, to be honest. I know it's a newer rivalry and they refuse to acknowledge it as such, which makes it all the more funny when we beat them every single year. So I'd keep Arkansas on there. I would definitely put South Carolina on there as well. I feel like that's the team that we have rivalry. Developed an actual back and forth with. It's been much more evenly matched. I think Mizzou has the edge just barely, but much more evenly matched in the Arkansas rivalry. We've got a traveling trophy for it. So, we can check that box off. And then the third would probably be, Vanderbilt would be fine. I'm fine with that. But honestly, I'd probably prefer Kentucky or Tennessee, just in terms of being regionally. We're bordering states, and I guess we border Oklahoma too. But Tennessee or Kentucky would be my third. Now I know Tennessee's probably full up a bunch of other teams, but Kentucky's doesn't have as many options. So
I'm not gonna sit here and guess how they're going to do this, but I think they're going to honor all the endless rivals that the old money SEC teams have and get those protected as soon as possible. And I think they even admitted that openly. And so if that's the case, then you've got to realize Missouri is going to be pulling their rivalries from, the kiddie table.
Mhm.
And I don't think Texas is going to fall in there. Even if they're new, I don't think they're going to fall in that category. Obviously, Red River is going to get protected, so that one's off the table. But my worry is that they go, oh, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Arkansas, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
No
like
A&M. That's no.
no, no,
No,
no,
thank you.
I'd hate that. I don't want to play that Colt every single year. That would be no fun. Sometimes they're good. I hate that. It's funnier when we win, especially when we kept winning down in Kyle Field like for consecutive years. But no, I don't want that. And I worry that they're going to do like, oh well, the Big 12 and then Southwest conference adjacent, and here you go. That would not be fun to me. I don't like that. So I don't know how they're going to do it. I think if you're viewing it from a protected rivalries and who's going to get taken off the plate, I do think Kentucky will probably be available for Missouri. I think Vanderbilt would too, although you have to think that the established powers will also be clamoring to play Vanderbilt every year. So we'll see, but I would be okay with Arkansas. Not my favorite, but I'd be okay with it. It's got corporate money tied to it, so it's probably not going anywhere. South Carolina is the real rivalry, and then if you give me Vandy, Kentucky, Oklahoma, I'm good with any of those. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, chances are, I mean, I think it's going to be, I think they've already told us what they're going to be in that it's Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. I think that's what it's going to be because those are the teams that they kind of made it clear were going to be a repetitive back last year. So I'd
mm,
honestly be surprised if it was anything other than Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. If it is, it probably would just interchange South Carolina with Vanderbilt as the most likely options. And I'd be happy with that. I'd actually rather have South Carolina than
mm-hmm,
Vanderbilt for sure.
yeah,
But my hunch is that those permanent matchups have already been built in. They've already been decided. Now they could say that they haven't been or not, but based
mm,
on these first two seasons we've seen, all those major rivalries have already been protected. So I think they're just going to carry those on and then just alternate the other games that you play, which I do love that setup where you get to play home and away within a 4-year period, home and away of every team in the SEC. I think that's excellent.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Georgia still has never played at Kyle Field, and Texas A&M has been in the league for 13 years, and
mm-hmm,
Georgia has still never visited there. So this would completely make that watch them schedule that for 4 years out. So it'll be 17 years by the time that happens. But
good,
it
good,
I love that setup where, and really within 2 years, because they're not going to do home and away, home and away. They're going to do home at one place, on one place, then skip to the other half of the conference, play home there, then skip back and play away, and then skip back. So really, you'll play every team once every 2 years, which I think is great.
no, I think that's great too. So we'll see. I don't know what the time frame on getting that figured out is. Uh, don't do it during the season, right? They have a messaging problem. They never do this in a manner in which makes sense. Like we're talking about this now as the games are
Yeah.
kicking off. Like
They could have
you
done this
you
in
had all
July just as easily as they could have done it
yes.
now.
Yes, you could do it literally any time except for the 3 months in which the sport is played. They always insist on doing it now. So okay, fine, whatever. So let's talk about the actual game. We've seen a depth chart. We don't know for sure that it's going to be the one that gets rolled out. It's just names on paper. But damn it, we are going to talk about those specific names on that specific piece of paper. We're going to run through the ones, the guys that we anticipate seeing take the field on Thursday night as the quote unquote starters for your Missouri Fighting Football Tigers. Starting on the offensive side, we'll leave one position to the end here. It looks like we got a decent rotation amongst the running backs, but the consensus is that we got Ahmad Hardy going to be toting the rock first and foremost as a starter, followed up by Jamal Roberts, and then DeVorce Jones and Marquise Davis down there. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we expected. That's what I hope to see. To be honest, I hope we see Ahmad Hardy get 5 carries and then hit the showers.
Yeah.
Then give Jamal Roberts another 8 carries and let him hit the showers. And then Marquise Davis and DeVorce Jones just let them finish out the game. I mean, that's the ideal scenario. That by halfway through the second quarter, those guys are not, the top 2 guys are no longer needed and can rest up and not get banged up for next week. And for Marquise Johnson to be X, go deep. Marquise is down there somewhere, throw it down to him deep. We knew that Kevin Coleman was going to be the slot guy, so that fits in just how we thought it would. I'm really interested to see how Manning does in the Z. He kind of moved around a little bit last year. So if he has a consistent position, maybe that will help him, have a little better idea about what he's going to be responsible for game in and game out, and learn those routes that the Z calls for a little bit better. So I think that works best for him. I'm really curious to see how much Donovan Olubade ends up playing. We're going to see him on Thursday. I hope it's early. I hope it's often because it sounds like he could really be a contributor this year. Offensive line for Mizzou would be left to right. We've got Caden Green, which we've talked about last week. Kind of seems like they've hopped him over to left tackle from left guard where he was last year. That, I feel better about that now, having thought about it a little bit longer, having read a little bit more about how exactly he is performing out there. Drinkwitz himself said that he's playing great, that he's the best far and away left tackle that we have on the team. Even if his best position is at guard, he's still the best left tackle we have on the team. So put the best guy in the best spot, put him out there. That's great. Left guard is going to be Dominic Gedais, and I'm still not 100% sure on the pronunciation of his name. We'll find out on Thursday, but I'm pretty sure it's Gedais. So he's going to be left guard. Center, of course, Connor Tolleson. And then right guard will be the redshirt sophomore, Curtis Piegler. Really excited to see how he performs. Sounds like he's really took a stranglehold of that job. And that's good. Right guard, and then right tackle will be the transfer Keegan Trost. And very experienced. I think this is his 6th year in college football. He's been to 2 different FCS teams, including Indiana State. Then he went to Wake Forest, where he started last year, and now he's hopped over here. So that's the offensive line. Going through the defense, the defensive end, Zion Young. We got Marquise Graciel, seems to have won that nose tackle position, which I think is huge. We've been waiting for a long time for him to finally step up, and hopefully he can show it on the field. He's a redshirt junior, so this is his 4th year on the team. He was a 4-star kid out of high school, so there's a lot of promise there, but he hasn't yet really produced on the field. So if he's won that starting job over Sterling Webb, I think that hopefully means something positive for his season this year. Of course, Chris McClellan, the other defensive tackle, and then the jack position would be Damon Wilson. And linebackers, Tristan Newsom, of course, Josiah Trotter, middle linebacker. So those are the two starting linebackers. And then, which is interesting because I kind of thought that Khalil Jacobs, it sounds like he was the talk of the camp on how well he played, but I'm sure he'll be on the field a ton, despite not technically being a starter. Then as far as cornerbacks go, Toriano Pride Jr., and then Drayden Norwood, Jalen Catalan is the strong safety, Marvin Burks, free safety, Dalen Carnell in the star position.
So then we get to the big reveal, all right? The one that we've been waiting for all off season, quarterback. Who's gonna play quarterback? And it really wasn't answered directly because we heard it from Pete Thamel. So it was an indirect release. And really, even then, he said, well, both quarterbacks are going to play, which we already knew. It's the order in which it's going to happen, with Bo Pribula starting off, Sam Horn coming in after him. Congratulations, Bo. You just won the 2025 quarterback battle. How are we feeling about this, Hurst?
I mean, I said it a little bit earlier, but it's very familiar. It's deja vu all over again. It's what we all expected all along. I don't know why we had to do this, the cloak and dagger. This isn't how you conduct an actual quarterback battle if you really don't know who the starter is. Second half of an FCS game is not an even playing field to evaluate, because by that point, I have to imagine it's most, if not all, the other first teamers are not going to be in the game. They shouldn't be in the game. Even if you're wanting to really evaluate Sam Horn, you don't need to be exposing your first team offensive line, your first team receivers, your first team running back to unnecessary hits if the game is, which it should be, out of hand at that point. So you just can't evaluate one for one. Bo Pribula started the game with all the ones versus Sam Horn and whoever he happens to be with left in the game. So that's not how. Yeah, it was. It probably was a legitimate competition at some point over the summer and
Yes.
into the fall. I believe that.
Yes.
I definitely believe
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Was it decided before now? Yes, I think so.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, maybe he's trying to put one over on Kansas or something. I don't know. I don't think that really worked, but But Drinkwitz likes to play his little games, and whatever. We're at his whim.
I mean, go back to a middle school science class. Right? How do you conduct an experiment? You keep certain variables the same. You keep them the same. You change one thing. So either, yeah, you run your ones out for the entire game, which, boy, that seems like a bad idea. And then swap out your quarterback and just expose him to all the punishment. Or you have your quarterback battle include the 2s and the 3s and the 4s. In which case, this isn't testing anything other than just how you do against live competition that wants to see you lose. Now, you could counter that by saying it doesn't matter who you roll out. Like, Central Arkansas is not good, and they're starting over from scratch. Like, it should be the same no matter what. But it's just not. It's just not. Taking snaps from Tristan Wilson versus Connor Tollison, it's different. All right? Having Caden Green as your left tackle versus Javen Richardson as your left tackle, it's different. So I do think that Sam probably pushed this throughout the whole thing, and I think Drinkwitz is pressured to give them a live shot in front of a real audience for the team, for us. But yeah, this is competition was done, and I always kind of figured it was going to be Bo, but yeah, this is a crummy way to figure it out. But
yeah, I think everyone would have preferred if he had just said, whenever that final decision was really actually made, just say, Bo's our starter. He won the job. Sam Horn played great. He's going to be our second string. We are confident if he has to play that he's going to play great. Period. Why we don't need to. I can't imagine that it's going to keep Kansas off balance preparing for a week from now. So it's just kind of silly, but. Whatever. It is what it is.
Or Bo plays the first half, Sam plays the second half. He announces Sam Horn as a starter on Monday, and then Sam gets injured. And the first play, and then Bo comes out. Ha, we got you. No. You can't do that for betting purposes. You can't. So you'd get in huge trouble for that. Yeah, that's.
And just list both as questionable. Every game, just pull the Tom Brady questionable.
We're going to start Matt Zollers. That's what we're going to do. He actually won the competition. That's what happened.
Hey, to be honest, if Matt Zollers had won the competition, that might have been my number one choice of all, because that would have meant that he was a certified dude. Mm-hmm. Now, the fact that he didn't also doesn't mean he can't ultimately be a dude by any means. But if he were to just have blown them away, that would have been pretty awesome.
Drew Lock as an NFL quarterback looked like hot garbage his freshman year. Just don't do that. Don't do that. So Missouri plays Central Arkansas on Thursday. You might have heard this. Usually during these shows, we preview the opponent. Hurst famously said off mic that he couldn't name a single player on Central Arkansas's roster. And you know what? I preview them. I also cannot name a single person on their roster. No one can. I totally can. I'm just trying to make him feel better. But the point is, there's no X's and O's to break down here. This is a practice that you can watch against a team that doesn't like you. And if it's anything more than that, then this season is completely effed, and we should panic about a lot more things. So in the spirit of this being a victory, obviously the quarterback battle, I'm doing quotes. I'm doing a lot of air quotes today on on a podcast. That's not smart, but you get the idea. The quarterback battle is going to be what everybody's talking about. But come on, there's so many new parts. This is modern college football, and this is Missouri's offense in 2025. There's a lot of things you can be watching. For me, I mean, you're going to be looking at quarterback. Obviously, you're going to be looking at left tackle and how Caden Green's doing. Who else do you want to see, Nathan Hurst? Who are you going to be keeping your eye on during the game?
I mean, offensive line in general, not just Caden Green, but the whole unit. Curtis Piegler, I'm really interested to see how he plays. I thought it was fascinating that he's the guy that kind of became, earned the job. By all means, by all accounts, he earned the job. But he's just not a guy you really heard a whole lot about up until this summer. So I think that's really interesting. I'm very interested to see how he plays, how Keegan Trost.
So when you are watching the offensive line, because I was not an offensive lineman, I was a tight end, so I kind of knew what they did, but I don't know the ins and outs. When you watch offensive line play, are you looking for knockdowns? Are you looking for like pressures given up? How they pull? Like, what do you look for? How can somebody watch an offensive line and say this guy's doing well?
In the game, so during the game live, it's harder. I mean, you can obviously see during a pass play who's pressuring the quarterback and whose guy is supposed to be
Sure.
who's responsible for blocking him. But what I like to see is and Eli Drinkwitz's offense is great for this because they run the wide zone all the time. That's kind of the only thing they run. You get to see those guys out in space blocking. So and they're spread out from one another a little bit more than all crammed in. So you can see Curtis Piegler with 2 yards of cushion on either side. You can see how he's moving around the field. Is he getting to that second level? And he's a guard, so a lot of his responsibilities are going to be getting to the second level to the linebackers and block those. So seeing how Keegan Trost, how they are moving in space, are they getting out to that next level? Are they pushing their man out to the sideline? That's something Armand Mimbu would do on a play-by-play basis. Is he would take his guy and he would escort him to the sideline on every single play. Now, do I expect Keegan Trost to do that? No, but if he can stay engaged with his guy and get him out of the way, that's what we're looking for. So on those wide zone plays, that makes it real easy to kind of identify and isolate specific people to watch and see what they're doing. Because if they're running more or less of a zone scheme, more of a kind of man blocking scheme, they're going to be crammed in there, and it's a lot harder to determine who's doing what. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun for me to watch. A lot of times, you're kind of stuck watching the ball, but in a game like this where hopefully it's out of hand early, you're not having to watch the ball as much because it doesn't really matter if we're up 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. You're freed up a little bit more to watch what else is going on, which I'm looking forward to do.
Yeah, and there's so much that happens in football that's beyond what just the ball is doing. As I've gotten older and watched more football, I do tend to watch the offensive line more. Now, I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but you get a pretty good idea the play is going to go well or not based off of kind of like, oh, well, I have an idea of how this is supposed to look, and it's not looking like that. Obviously if a pass rusher breaks free or something like that. So you can kind of glean a lot from how the offensive line is keeping the defense at bay. For me, I want to see these running backs. My concern for Ahmad Hardy is that he's slow and can't avoid a tackle. Now the upside of that is that he takes a ton of punishment, is fine, and goes 4 yards after getting hit. But when you think of like how teams portal in guys, a lot of times they're looking for schools that run similar schemes to what they run, so that it's less taking, here's for an extreme example, we're not going to take a triple option running back, like a B back, and then throw him into an air raid sort of system. Like there's going to be a lot of education that comes along with that. Last year, Louisiana Monroe ran a similar scheme, not the same. And so Ahmad Hardy should understand how to read those blocks and how the zone blocking works. But I want to see it with these guys. How does he, is he running away from contact? Is he running towards contact? Same for Jamal Roberts. How has he developed as a runner? And Marquise Davis, I can't stop talking about him. How does he run? Is he behind his blockers? Is he a burst guy, or is he kind of like, hey, I was so much better than everybody in high school, and I'm still running with that mentality and I got to learn. Those are the things I want to see from the running backs. From a receiver standpoint, obviously Brett Norfleet's health is big there, but what are you looking from our receivers as we go through the Central Arkansas game?
I'm curious to see if Marquise Johnson shows what continues to show what he showed in the Iowa Bowl game, which is he more than just a deep ball merchant? And I think he is.
Mhm.
But in the bowl game, he had the best game of his career, and he was running every route that existed in the offense as Kirby Moore has drawn it up. And he did it well, and he got open, and he caught the ball when it was thrown to him, and he was great. Is that going to carry over? Is that going to be his plan in the offense? Is he going to be able to do that on a game in and game out basis? Very interested to see that. I think he can do it. I think he has the ability to, but I'll be a little disappointed if the only targets he gets are 3 deep balls and that's it. I would like to see him on
Yeah.
slants. I'd like to see him on posts. I'd like to see him on dig routes. Just the full gamut of everything. So really curious to see that. And then as I kind of mentioned this already, but Donovan Olugbeday, I'm really excited about seeing that kid on the field and seeing what he can do because I think he's going to be a good one.
Yeah. I hope Sean Terry can get on the field. That's a guy that I feel really good about. He's a 4-star from Ohio, speedy guy. I foresee him as the next great slot guy for Eli Drinkwitz. But there's James Madison hanging out there. What you doing, man? Let's see what you got. And don't overlook Demarion Fulks. I know he kind of gets overshadowed as far as the receivers go, but coming in at 5'9", 184. Whew, that is a stick. How can he, is he faster than everybody? How do they want to use him or if they use him at all? I don't know if that's a guy who's slotted to see any playing time. Obviously, he might be a good redshirt candidate, but kind of what you're getting with Coleman and Speedy and Manning to a certain extent. Obviously, I want to see Manning at the Z, but yeah, I'm really curious specifically from the Z receivers who steps up, but some of those speedier youngsters too. I definitely want to see that. Now on defense, obviously we expect a lot. It returns a lot. It added a lot. I think the one thing for me, and I don't know if you saw this, Nathan Hurst, but at least on the official roster, they have designations for positions that did not exist last year. And I think part of that was because, again, they had some injuries and stuff like that. And it was Corey Batoon's first year. But for example, we talked about the Joker position last year a lot, and we never really saw it because Darius Smith was injured. Well, now they have a spot. They have a Jack and a Rover spot. Which we did not have that last year, at least not in name. So you've got Jack would be Damon Wilson. He's the one on that. Darius Smith is the backup Jack, which is just a fun word to say. Dalen Carnell and Caleb Flagg are 1 and 2 at star, which we know what star is already. But then you got Rover, and that's Jalen Catalon at the 1, Santana Banner at the 2. Is this just a name change? Is this a philosophy change? Is this an assignment change? I don't know, but I'm really curious to see what those guys do.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of all the above, and at least for the rover position. I think more than anything, we're going to see it's probably your traditional strong safety is what that is. But I think calling it a rover indicates that it's going to free that person up to play all over the field. So strong safety you typically think is going to be much more closer to the line of scrimmage. But Jalen Catalon, that he's great, deep too. He could play free safety just as easily as he could play close to the box. So I think that's going to give him the opportunity to move around. And if they want to play, 2 deep safety looks, he's going to be that other guy. But if they want to bring him up into the box right next to, maybe on the other side of the field as Dalen Carnell, then you've got almost 2 extra linebackers, small linebackers, but 2 extra linebackers. And then all of a sudden you're looking at what looks like a undersized 4-4 defense rather than a nickel defense. I think it just gives Corey Batoon a lot of flexibility with where he can move guys, where he can put around. When you've got experience like Jalen Catalon, when you've got and Dalen Carnell for that matter, you can trust those guys wherever you put them that they're going to be where they're supposed to be. So it's really exciting. It's going to be exciting to see, how they get used to have that much talent in that safety-ish position, whatever you want to call it. It's really going to be fun to see.
Yeah. And I really don't think we're going to see it on Thursday, or I guess I should rephrase. I wouldn't want to see it on Thursday, but I am curious the philosophy that Corey Batoon is going to use this year. Certainly a downgrade from Blake Baker in terms of frequency of blitzing explosive plays or limiting explosive plays, havoc plays on defense. Certainly a 180 from 2023 to 2024. I don't think that's how he wanted to do it. We talked about this last show. I think, especially once Khalil Jacobs went down and Darius Smith was out for the year, he goes, okay, look, I can trust the defensive line to make the plays, and we'll just kind of play a shell and just, be an amoeba and just, form towards the ball and stop it that way, which made them very good as a stopping the efficiency plays, but a bit of a liability on the offensive explosive plays. That was their Achilles heel, much like it was for Blake Baker. So what is the philosophy this year? What is he comfortable doing? I don't want to see it on Thursday because that's bad, but just in general, maybe you show us a little bit, like, how is Damon Wilson used? Who does the blitzing? How often do you rotate in or out? And again, this is not the good game for that, but those are questions I have. And whether we see it or not, I think that's the biggest question for the defense this year.
Yeah. I think just based on what we know offensive personnel wise, the way that Mizzou's going to have to play, or at least we think they're going to have to play on offense to succeed, which is going to be very similar to how they played last year: ball control, run the ball, control the clock. I think if they're truly playing complementary football on the defensive side, they're going to avoid those high risk, high reward plays, because if you're going balls to the wall and you give up an 80-yard touchdown pass over the top, that's going to put a lot more pressure on your offense to have to come back and get into a potential scoring match, shootout with the other team. While if you can keep everything in front of you, sure, if you can get a sack only rushing forward, that's great. And I think that's what they're going to be looking at a lot more, especially with these defensive ends that we have. I think we may see a lot, even less blitzing than we saw last year, because A, they've got the talent on the edge to not have to do that. Hopefully that's what we think is the case. And B, once again, high risk, high reward. You can try to create those havoc plays, but like Blake Baker did, with those havoc plays comes the big plays on the other end. So I would much rather force the other team to take a long time to get down the field than bend, don't break at the other end, make them kick a field goal. College kickers, maybe they'll miss it. Then we get the ball back, 8-minute drive back down, score a touchdown. Then all of a sudden, you're halfway through the second quarter and you're up 7-0, or 10-0, or 10-3, which is, I think, the way that this team's going to have to play to succeed. I think they'll be able to do it to a good degree, but if you're going to have both sides working in conjunction with each other, that's probably how it's going to look.
Maybe Bo Pribula is a good passer.
That'd be great.
I don't know.
For
Maybe
4,000 yards. If he wants to throw it for 4,000 yards, rush for 1,000, 30 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'll take it.
Yeah. The old BD Smith, right? Like, let's just Brad Smith 2.0. Let's do it.
Why not?
Let's do it. He's a little beefier than Brad was, but let's do it. Yeah, so we don't need to do score predictions. If Missouri loses this game, burn the season down, start it all over. Okay. But Central Arkansas was an okay team last year. They're restarting. Head coach is now the offensive coordinator. Things are going really well. Just declining returns over the seasons for Nathan Brown there. So we'll see how it goes. But Thursday, 6:30. That's when the game's going to start. Hurst, you will be there. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be beautiful weather. I'm going to be sitting in my basement watching it, and we'll do a recap show after that. Because guess what? Then it's Labor Day weekend, last vacations of the year. It's college football kickoff, and we'll be getting back to business. So, what's the big thing you're looking forward to? It could be game related, it could be stadium related, it could be food related. I don't care. What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to on Thursday?
That first tailgating beer. The first tailgating beer of the season hits different. So, circa 2 p.m. Thursday afternoon. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. And I hope all of you are able to enjoy that as well, responsibly and with backup, because that's the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter at Matt and H.E. Edwards. He's at Burst to Hurst. And of course, you can follow the Rock M flagship at Rock M Nation and our podcasting outlet at Rock M Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, M-I-Z.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.